All right, getting into chapter 6. Hope everyone had a great weekend and ready to go here, learning some new material. Chapter 6, we're going to talk about ratios, proportions, and percents. It's a nice short chapter. We don't cover all the sections in it, so it'll be nice and quick. Getting into a few new things while still building upon what we learned in chapter 5. So, section 6.1, we talk about ratios and rates. All right, our learning target is going to be to write ratios as fractions in simplest form and determine unit rates. So, our key terms: a ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. And some different ways to write it and say it, right? We can say 2 to 4, right? That's a ratio. You can use the colon 2, colon 4, saying the same thing, 2 to 4, and then 2 out of 4. When writing a ratio, both quantities should have the same unit of measure. Meaning, I'm not going to say that the ratio is 12 inches to 5 feet, right? We would say that it's 12 to 60, right? Because 5 feet is 60 inches. Or we could say 1 to 5 because 12 inches a foot. So you have to get them in the same unit in order to consider it a ratio. Then we'll also talk about rates. And a rate is a ratio of two measurements, right? Two different kind of units. So common ones, right? Miles per hour, and then cost per pound. Or if you're talking about like buying a 12 pack of sodas, how much per can. So different units of measure for making up a rate. And then a unit rate is a rate that is simplified so it has a denominator of 1, right? Meaning 1 unit. So I could say that I went 150 miles in 3 hours, but my unit rate would be 50 miles per hour, right? Per 1 hour. And I could say that I paid $8 for 4 pounds of meat, and the unit rate would be $2 per pound, right? And what we can do with unit rates is find what it would cost for, let's say, 20 pounds once I know the unit rate, right? If I got 8 pounds for $16, right, I could find the unit rate and figure out what it would cost me for 10 pounds or 20 pounds or whatever the case may be. So one of the big things, and we've done this before, we've moved between fraction, decimal, and percent, and we're going to do the same kinds of things here, but we're going to look at units with it. So the first one we want to do is write the following ratios in simplest form. So it says 9 goldfish out of 15 fish, right? Same unit, they're fish. There's 9 out of 15, right? Now, I want to write that in simplest form, meaning I know that 3 goes into both of these, right? So I can reduce that. 3 goes into 15 5 times. So this is the simplest form. The ratio is 3 to 5, right? And this is in fraction form. Again, you'll also see it written 3 to 5. You'll see it written as 3 colon 5. These are all the same thing. We're going to focus on writing it in fraction form. Next one, it said 4 made shots out of 10 attempts. So we're going to start, right? We have 4 out of 10 attempts. All right, I know that 2 goes into both of those. So 2 goes into 4 twice, goes into 10 5 times. So the asterisk here says, what if said makes to misses, right? They're still attempts, right? Sometimes we make, sometimes we miss, but they're the same unit. So if I took 10 attempts and I made 4, that would mean I missed 6. So that ratio of makes to misses would be 4 out of 6, which we reduce to 2/3, right? So you have to make sure that you list the ratio that is described, right? The first one said attempts, there were 10 attempts. The second one said makes to misses, so I had to figure out the misses first. Number 3, 10 dimes out of 24 coins. So 10 out of 24. We can reduce that to 5 over 12, right? Leaving that in fraction form. Now, these were all in the same units, right? We're talking about attempts, we're talking about fish, we're talking about coins. But if I look down here, these are in different units. And so I'm going to have to convert them into the same units. And I'll pause here, go up to our February agenda. And if you look on, let me go back to today. All right. If you go here, there's a conversion sheet that you can click on this link right here, and it will give you the conversions for different units of measure. So you can use that. You can look up the conversions. You might even have them from science class in your interactive science notebook, but it'll give you the conversions for different units of measure, right? There's 3 feet in a yard, 5,280 feet in a mile, 12 inches in a foot. So a lot of them are there. There's going to be some that you won't probably use on there, but just a good resource to have. So the first thing I want to do is I want to change it to the same unit. So it's 3 feet to 16 inches. I'm going to change this into inches, and I know that there's 12 inches per foot, right? So I'm going to times that by 12, and I'm going to get 36 inches to 16 inches. And what I'm going to do is write that as a fraction, 36 over 16. And I know that 4 goes into both of those. 4 goes into 36 9 times. 4 goes into 16, 4. So 9 over 4, or 9 to 4, is my ratio. See if you can do the conversions. And it's probably easiest if you turn yards into feet, right? You turn it into the smaller one. So here you could turn this one. You got to be careful. You got to go yards to feet and then feet to inches. So see if you can do those conversions and write the ratios in simplest form. So pause the video here and see how you do. All right, let's see how you did here. In number 2, there's 3 feet for every yard, right? So in 2 yards, there would be 6 feet. And then so our ratio would be 10 feet to 6 feet. And if we reduce that, we get 5 over 3. In number 3, we have to go from yards to feet to inches, right? So there's 3 feet in a yard. So I times by 3, that gives me 9 feet. And then there's 12 inches in every foot. So 9 times 12 gives me 108 inches in 3 yards. So my ratio is 108 over 10. And if I reduce that, it is 54 over 5. Now, finding unit rates. We want to find the cost per item, right? So we're going to have a total for multiple items. And we want to figure out what does it cost for a singular item. So, for example, it says a package of 20 recordable CDs. Older problem here. You guys probably don't even know what CDs are. Package of 20 recordable CDs costs $18, and a package of 30 recordable CDs costs $28. Which price has the lowest cost per CD? So we want it per CD. So we're going cost per CD. So to find the unit rate, I take the cost. So the first one was $18, right? 2 units. We're doing cost per CD. So it's called a rate. And that was for 20. And the other one was cost of 28 for 30 CDs. And so if I divide that out in my calculator, so take a minute here, pause, and calculate that using your calculator. All right, so you should have gotten 0.9 for the first one, right, which would be 0.90, which is 90 cents. And you could see that if it was $1 per CD, it would be $20 for 20 CDs. So it's a little bit less than that, so 90 makes sense. And then if you did this one, you get 93.3 repeating, which would round to 93 cents. So this deal, the $18 for 20 CDs, would be the better deal using unit rates to figure that out. All right, so express each ratio as a unit rate, round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So we want to find the unit rate. It gives us a price for 4 tickets. We want to find the cost, right? Cost per ticket, right? 2 different units. So divide that out. That'll give us our unit rate. And we want here inches per hour. All right, so take a minute and find the unit rate for these two through division. All right, so for number 1, finding the unit rate should be $45.75 per ticket, right? And make sure we're keeping the rate. Each ticket costs $45.75. And then for the snow example, it was 0.75 inches per hour. 0.75 inches per hour would be the unit rate. All right, so another conversion rates. So we want to, and remember, this is called dimensional analysis when we have the different rates here. We want to go from 30 miles for 1 hour, and we want to find what that would be in feet per second. Okay, so what I have to do is I have to find the conversion for miles and feet and hours and second. And if you look on your chart, each mile is equal to 5,280 feet. And our conversion for hours to seconds, there's 1 hour for 60 minutes. And then each minute has 60 seconds. So let me create some space here. When we use dimensional analysis and we convert, we want to get rid of units, right? And to do that, right, one has to be on top, one has to be on bottom. So I know that my conversion would be 1 hour, and there's 60 minutes in an hour. So the hour units would cancel. Now I'm in minutes, right? But I got to get to seconds. So then I would take the conversion, right? Every minute, there are 60 seconds, right? And so the minutes would cancel. So if I multiplied this out right now, I would have miles per second. That's the unit that I have. But I want feet. So then I got to take miles, which is on top, and I put that unit on bottom, and my conversion is 1 mile is 5,280 feet, right? And now miles will cancel, right? Remember, fractions multiply straight across. So on the top, I'm going to have 30 times 5,280. So I can do 30 times 5,280. So on the top, I have 158,400. And notice my unit that's left is feet. And then on the bottom, it'd be 1 times 60 times 60 times 1. So 60 times 60. and that's 3,600. And notice the only units left down there is seconds. So I can divide those two numbers out. So I can take 158,400 divided by 3,600, and we get 44. And that would be 44 feet per second. So 30 miles per hour equates to 44 feet per second. All right. So what I want you to do here first is go to the sheet, and we have centimeters to meters and seconds to hours. Okay. So I want you to go to the sheet and get your conversions, kind of like I did right here. What's the relationship between centimeters and meters? And we know that our conversion here is going to be the same for hours to seconds. All right, so pause and get those conversions. All right, so our conversion that we'll need from centimeters to meters, we need to know that there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. All right, so let's start by changing that unit, right? So centimeters is on top. So in my multiplication, it has to go on bottom, right? And these are the same value, right? Meaning 100 centimeters in 1 meter. And what that allows me to do is that allows me to cancel the centimeters, and now I'll be into meters for my unit of measure. And then we need to go from seconds to hours, all right? And we have that up here. So since the seconds are on the bottom, I need my unit for seconds on the top, right? And I know that there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. Now I need to go from minutes to hours, right? So what's the, right, minutes on the bottom, minutes go on the top, and then hour goes down here, and I know there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So, right, seconds here, those units cancel, minutes here, those units cancel. So if you look across the top, the unit of measure that's left is meters, and on the bottom, the unit that's left is per hour. So we just have to multiply the number values on top, right? 16 times 60 times 60, right? And times 1, but that doesn't change at all. And then the bottom, we can look, it's 100 times 1 times 1. So it's just going to be 100 on the bottom. And then I can do in my calculator, clear these out, 16 times 60 times 60. So 57,600. That goes on top. And we're going to divide that by 100, right? Which should give me 576 divided by 100, right? So that's going to be 576. And that is meters per hour, right? So if we go 16 centimeters per second, that translates to 576 meters per hour. All right. Last one here, 18 quarts per minute to gallons per hour, right? And if we go to our thing, we need quarts and gallons. So we got right here, 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. So we're going to need to know there's 4 quarts and 1 gallon. All right, so we start with 18 quarts per minute. And we can pick which one to get rid of first. Doesn't matter. Let's get rid of quarts. So my quart is on the top. So I'm going to put that on the bottom. And my conversion is there are 4 quarts for every gallon. Now to get rid of minutes, right? My conversion, the minutes would have to go on the top and the hours would go on the bottom. And I know there's 60 minutes per hour. So canceling out units, right? The minutes on the bottom, minutes on the top, quarts on top, quarts on bottom. So if we look, my unit that's left is gallon per hour. So if we multiply the top, we would have 18 times 60. And then on bottom, there would just be a 4. So let's see here. We can reduce that. 4 goes into 60 15 times. So we'd have 18 times 15, which is going to give me 270 gallons per hour. So 18 quarts a minute equates to 270 gallons per hour. All right, you practice. Try the following problems starting on page 267. You're doing 16 to 44 even, and then 56, 57, and 66. Please try those on a separate sheet. A lot of them are pretty straightforward, just writing the ratio, but make sure you're simplifying, make sure you're reducing them down when needed, make sure you're changing them to the same units when needed, right? And that's where that conversion sheet will come in handy. And then these ones, make sure you practice a few of these. It's a little confusing at first. I get it, right? Looking at this, it's a mess. But if you have questions on it, shoot me an email. I can make another example, and we'll walk you through that. I hope everyone has a great day, and we will talk to you soon.